Hi, this is Nikki. To show this junk journal I've made for a swap on Junk Journal Junkies. The theme's Vintage Garden, and you could use book rings or cinch or whatever you've got to bind it. I've got a cinch, so I use that. It's about 8.5 inches tall. And I've used a variety of things. I've recently borrowed a sewing machine off a friend, and I wanted to see if I could remember how to sew from years ago. And so I've got into sewing a little bit, so you will see bits through here where I was practicing, and I've attached a picture and to the main picture here, and then I've sewn through some ribbon and some little lacy trim, and then I practiced with some sewing pattern, making a frill, and then I attached some velvet ribbon to that, and I've left it all sprouty because I like that look. I think that looks quite nice, but obviously if the person who gets it doesn't like it, they can trim it off. I've also made these little hearts, and what I did is I layered them up. I drew a heart and then cut it out. I haven't got a die cutting die of a heart, so I just drew one and then cut it out of all different papers. There's some book paper, there's some tissue paper, some coffee dyed paper there, and just layered it up and then just went through with a little brad. I think that's an Anna Griffin brad, but I'm not sure. I put a few trims. I went to a charity shop, and I got a little stash of trims there I bought, and so of course you want to use your new stuff, don't you? Even though I've got drawers full of stuff, and so I've used them, and I just thought they went well with it. It tends to be, it's a bit peachy, a bit pinky, and I used inside most of the papers a coffee dyed or Kool-Aid dyed. Okay then, so if we go back, so the paper's covered with K&Co paper, and then I've layered on this image, which I say I've sewn onto some coffee dyed paper. This is a little stamp image I've cut out. There was some butterflies on this paper, so I cut one out. It's one of an old cigarette card. This was a picture, I believe it was off one of the Joanna Sheen CDs. I've had it ages. And so I sewed that on. My hearts I've explained to you. Trim. Oh, there's a button that was a pretty button I'd got. And this was a bird cage I cut out of some Bo Bunny paper. And then behind here, I made a secret tag, which is really pretty, out of some packaging. So that just pops back in there. And I've just put a little bow on the top to keep that pretty. There's the trim, and then on the back it was like this page was like just a border, and I didn't want the plain bit there, so what I did was I used some Prima paper, romance novel, distressed it. You can see it's I've sandpapered it a bit to cover up the rest of it, and I quite like that effect. So inside then I've covered it. This again is K&Co paper, and then I've used some Prima paper. And I had some flowers in a box my husband bought me. The box was beautiful, got beautiful shape, and it got this along the top, so I cut that out and used it as a stencil, and made that as my pocket, which I really like. This is from some Paper Mania paper, and I've just backed that with the Prima paper that matches, and there's some more of that trim. So my first page then, this is a journaling card from Prima that I really liked, so that's my first page, and then from some different Paper Mania paper I made a little pocket with some of that little crochet trim, and I've just put a journaling spot there, which is coffee dyed paper, and made a little tag, and I used a bit of tulle to wrap around that. And there's the back of that paper, absolutely gorgeous. This is my Kool-Aid dyed paper. This was a game sheet, which you can see had been coffee dyed. And so what I did was I cut that bit out and put that on the side to make a little tag. There's some beautiful vellum I've had for ages. I think it was when QVC still did loads of craft stuff. and I just thought it was pretty, so I put that in. This was an envelope I made ages ago. It's actually from a calendar I had. I think it was a Cavallini calendar, and I made, when it was over the year was over, I used all the pages to make pockets and envelopes. Just decorated it a little bit with some music paper, and then inside here I've got a big tag. This was from a K&Co set, so I cut the butterfly out and then backed it as like a journaling spot, or the person who gets it can stick it somewhere, maybe to embellish a page. And then that's a Prima journaling spot as well, and I've just backed that as well, so I took them all inside the envelope. And then I've made various little tuck spots. Here's a tuck spot with a tag, and then on the back of there just some pretty paper, a postcard that's from the Royal Horticultural Society, some coffee dyed paper, so I've stuck that down to make a sort of a secret place, and that's a picture from the secret diary of an Edwardian lady I've cut out. And on the back of there I got this, somebody sent me that as a gift. I think they might have printed it from Pinterest, and I've used that and made a little tuck spot there with a tag on, and that's just got some 2 different coloured seam binding on. So more Kool-Aid dyed paper. This was some packaging, so I made a little flat, decorated it with some paper and a bit there from the Prima paper. Made a tag from a page from the Edwardian diary, country diary of an Edwardian lady, that's the right way around. And then there's just a little coffee dye tag that I've stuck a doily on. I've got some coffee dyed graph paper. I've just decorated it with a bit of Prima paper. Some fancy edged paper, and what I've done is made a tuck spot here, and this is a journaling spot from La Di Da, and I've just put it on the back of a index card, because they're quite thin, aren't they? And then on the back of there is another place to put some secret messages. These are Prima cards, but they're plain on the back, plain white, so I backed them back to back to make a page. This was a paper bag, but it looked a bit plain, so I decorated this as well. It's gone a bit mad. Some Bow Bunny paper there. That's a Bow Bunny sticker, but to stop it being less shiny, I sandpapered that as well, so you can see it to make it a bit scuffed up. There's the rest of my sewing pattern that I've made a frill with, and that's another little bit from the Bow Bunny. And what I did was inside here, this was all the scraps that was left over, and so I made a little tiny journal, and so that's got one of the Paper Mania images on, and then there's all the sort of leftover bits of paper that I've made like a little mini junk journal, couple of little journaling spots there, some paper, coffee dyed paper, index card, that's a bit of the Paper Mania paper, a bit of butterfly paper, so I've made that into a little banner. Oh, the end of a tag that got chopped down, more pictures in there, and so that just fits neatly inside the little paper bag, which I really thought was quite sweet. I mean, if the person who gets it doesn't want it in there, then obviously they can just take it out, but it just fits perfectly in there. More paper, more coffee dyed paper, and I've practicing my sewing, made a big pocket with it, and there's a journaling spot here with this pretty K&Co paper on the back of a coffee dyed index card. And then I made a little envelope here with some lace and just some bits of music paper, and that's just a little journaling spot inside as well. So that's another place to put a secret message. And that just tucks in there. Prima paper, and I've just got a journaling card in there that's got some like little drawings, black and white images on. Here's another envelope I made, but I damaged the flap of it. So what I did was I made a new flap with a couple of coffee dyed doilies, and then a piece of die cut, and then some other bits and pieces, a bit of leftover lace, and one of the Tim Holtz door tickets, which you can see has all been scrunched up. And then I made a little same on the inside, so it's quite pretty because it's all sort of lacy on the edge. And then I made a little journaling spot inside with some music paper and some coffee dyed paper, and then just some more coffee dyed paper. Big envelope here I made out of some Prima paper, and it looked a bit plain, so I lined it with some more Kool-Aid dyed paper to make a frill, and it's quite a big envelope. And then on the back page, some more K&Co paper, and this was an offcut from the paper on the back, and I just really liked it. And even though it was sort of, that's the way it was on the page, I left it like that and put it in there to make my little journaling spot. So I'll be submitting that for the swap, and I hope the person who gets it likes it. Thanks for watching. If you've got any comments or questions, please leave them below. Thank you. Bye bye.